Hold on, this good. All right. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm Miss Sue, and I want to thank you for tuning in this evening. This is my YouTube podcast, More Than Enough Ministries. And our topic this evening is a continuation of what we recorded a couple of weeks ago. We got some great responses. And so, as you can see, our panel has increased. To God be the glory. And these ladies of God are willing to share and be transparent with how they handle different situations as they walk this single life in the Lord. So, our topic this evening is saved and set apart, keeping it 100. So, with that being said, ladies, thank you for joining us this evening. I appreciate you being here and being willing to share. As I ask the questions or we start a topic, feel free to turn on your mic and respond accordingly. And we just sitting in our living room chit chatting, okay? So, with that being said, I want to start off with the first question. So, ladies, how do you handle being approached or pursued by a man who you're not interested in getting to know personally? Anyone like to share that? Let me repeat it again. How do you handle being approached or pursued by a man who you ain't even trying to feel? Okay. And so, how do you respond to him? How do you let him know, as a woman of God, that it's not happening? So, who'd like to share?
I'll go. So I feel like I don't know my approach. I'm just a very straightforward kind of person. So I don't know. It's just always been that way. And someone could tell me if this is maybe not the right way to do it, but I just say I'm not interested. I mean, I just say, thank you, but I'm okay, thank you. I don't know. I'm just straightforward.
Right. So, how do they respond to that? I mean, do they like keep pursuing? Do they walk away? I mean,
Every man is different. So some are gonna continue and then I'll just walk away myself. Or like some will kind of respect the transparency. Um, yeah, it just depends on the guy, but I don't know. I just think straightforward. I mean, why beat around the bush?
yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. No, I ain't mad at you, sis. I ain't mad at you. I've had to say that a few times too, but thank you. Thank you, Sabrina. Anybody else?
For me,
So, oh, go ahead, Miss Cheryl.
I've been in situations. It depends on the situation. If I'm walking or going, shopping out shopping or something like that, you know, I'm I'll probably say, yeah, yeah, okay, and just say I'm not interested. However, I have been in situations where I've gone out on a date, a meet and greet date, and I was not really interested in the person. So there was no second date. And I basically told the person individual that, I wish him well, but I'm just not interested. But I
Wow.
do try to give them the benefit. I'm not gonna go out to dinner, meet a person for dinner and just once I see him going right on past. I'm not gonna do that. I am going to go to dinner with that person, and show some interest in the conversation itself. However, I will let the person know, at the next call or however, that I'm not interested.
Oh, so you don't let them know at the end of the date?
No, because that's a stranger. I mean,
That's a
Well,
strange.
yeah, that's true.
and I'm not trying to get you to follow me home and start stalking me because I've been in situations like that. I've been in.
Can I add a situation like that I was in real quick?
Yes.
So real quick, so when I was younger and I was living in New York, I remember I was waiting for the bus and a guy tried to speak to me and I said, I'm okay, no, thank you. And he just would not like leave me alone. Like he just kept on applying pressure. So I pretty much just started walking to like the direction of the next bus stop. And he would follow me, like he was following me. So then eventually, and God forgive me, I'm not gonna lie, I just lied. And I said, I'm actually walking to my boyfriend's house. And he was like, I don't care. I can fight. And I said, well, he has a gun. And eventually he stopped. But yeah.
Yeah, we don't need no stalkers. We don't need no stalkers. But Miss Cheryl, no, on the real tip, so you go out with them, you don't like them. So what do? You like call them and you say, thanks, but no thanks?
No, I'll actually wait for the person to call,
Cool.
and I'll let them know that I'm not interested.
Okay, okay. Wow.
But I'm you want me to
I
be
think she's,
transparent?
I think she,
You froze.
yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You froze for a minute, Cheryl.
Oh, I don't want to talk to them.
So I'm going to answer. I don't usually have a whole lot of folks trying to pursue at this moment. I don't know if I don't know, maybe I'm giving off something, I don't know. But I'm honest. She's not honest, is she? She left, correct?
Yeah, she just there she is. She's here. She's
Oh,
here.
no, here you are. Yeah. So I'm honest, and I'm going to always be honest and kind, but I agree with both Cheryl and Sabrina. You got to be upfront. But you got to be cool about it, right? So it should be casual. And I only say that because I'm always thinking about, and this is just a new thing. I don't want the person on the other side, like that man, to feel rejected. He's being rejected if, we don't want to pursue. But I think it's important just to be careful how just kind of let them know that you're not interested. You know what I mean? So I may say something like, I'm just not interested, or I'm not interested in this pursuit, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
But I let them know up front in a nice, casual, friendly way that, yeah, it's not going to go anywhere, because
Okay.
you don't want the fight. You don't want that issue. And for whoever was following you, Sabrina, like that, I don't know what that was all about, but I'm sorry that you had to even go through that,
I
but
mean, that's New York. That's like one of a million stories. I done got
yeah.
grabbed. I done got cursed out.
Oh,
Rejecting in New York is a struggle.
ooh,
Yeah.
that's good to know. So when I visit there, I'm gonna not be free. I have an imaginary man. Wow, thank you, Angelina. Wanda and then Sonia.
I'll chime in. I think being straightforward and say you're not interested is the way to go, because if you try to entertain it and try to be too nice, they won't take you seriously. So you have to be like straightforward, like Angelina said, in a polite way. Sorry, but I'm not interested. And if they persist, just keep walking, because you have to stand your ground. You can't, you can't smile and laugh, because they won't take you seriously. You just gotta to the point. Sorry, but I'm not
Mm,
interested, and that's it.
yeah, that used to be
You
my
gotta
problem.
set your boundaries.
Yeah, yeah, that smile ruins it. You can't say,
Yeah, that's
I'm
not
not
ruins it.
interested.
No, they won't take you seriously. There's an open, there's a door there.
That's dope, yeah.
Yeah, there's
Right,
hope.
Not
right.
interested.
Yeah,
Because I used to do that. Like, they don't get it when you smiling.
because they don't take you seriously.
Yeah, it's a missed message. It's like saying no, but then your body's like, yes, so it's,
You know what?
but
I feel like if when we make it about us, when we make it about the pursuit of, no, I'm not interested. Like I'm not trying to let you know that I'm not interested, because we're not interested, but you make it about you. Yeah, I'm just good at this time. Like I'm good.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah,
it. You could be kind and still
Yeah.
say,
And that's true. And that's my thing. You want to be kind. I'm straightforward and direct, but at the same time, I want to be kind too.
right,
You
right,
know, because if the shoe was on the other foot, I would want that person to be kind to me.
right.
yeah. Yeah. You know what it makes me think of, sisters? It makes me think of when you used to go, if any of you used to go to house parties. Sabrina probably didn't because she too young to have been to a house party like we went to. But they
Right.
would walk all the way across the room to come ask you to dance. And then they get over there and you say no. And then they go back and
No.
they boys be like, oh, she told you no, man. Oh. And they be so embarrassed, See, that's what it makes me visualize. Like,
That's
you really,
true.
you may be hurting their feelings, like taking them back PTSD. I walked all the way over there and she said no. So that's what they make me visually see. So I digress. Okay. Thank you, Wanda. Miss Sonia.
For me, I do smile. And just as I'm walking, I don't slow down and they walking, and I walk faster, and I just smile and say I'm not interested, and sometimes they'll walk with me, and then I just start talking about Jesus. Are you saved? What church you go to? Because that's the only thing we can talk about is Jesus,
That's true. That's
So
good. That's good.
Yeah. I'm
good.
going to piggyback off of Sonia. I do the same thing, and I try not to give them too much eye contact to show them I'm not interested. And I start talking about God. Oh, where you go to church at? Because if they don't go to church, they're gonna turn away. They don't want
they
to
run them
hear it.
away.
Yeah, they will run them away.
They're gonna
But I
flee.
try not to give them too much eye contact.
But
But
you know what? That's good. But you know what I think is interesting is when someone follows you around in the store.
Oh, no.
It's like, so
That's creepy.
and try to make eye contact with you, but eventually, and one thing that I do make that eye contact. If I see you on the next aisle and that happens again, then you eventually know that I'm not interested if I don't speak.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, I had this guy to follow me around when I first moved back to Charlotte. He followed me. We was in Food Line. Every aisle I went on, he was on there. And I just asked him, I said, are you following me? He said, I am. I said, but why? He said, because can I get your phone number? I said, sir, how old are you? And he said, I think he was like 42. I said, honey, my child older than you. And I thought that was going to run him away. He was like, oh, for real? Oh, you need a young man. You need a young man. I said, no, sir, I do not. I don't want nobody younger than my child, older than my child.
That's
Right.
true.
Oh, did you play video
Younger than my
games?
child. Yeah.
I play video games with my son. Oh, what?
Okay.
I know it's funny, Cheryl, when you mentioned about someone following you. I had that experience today. I was in a hair store getting some conditioner, and this guy, I don't know if y'all ever been in Hope Beauty Shop. They be playing Elevation all the time. So I was crunk. They was up in there. And it's like, hi, and I'm like walking down the aisle and I'm like singing like ain't nobody listening because that's what I do. And so I seen him on my peripheral. So all of a sudden, whatever aisle I was on, he was on that aisle. And I would not look at him. I was really into my products, like really looking like, and I see him. And so finally, we get on one aisle and no, start walking toward the register, and I seen him. It's like, there we go again, and I remember I'm not looking at him like straight forward. I could see him out the corner of my eye. I could see him like just coming and like just standing, and he's like almost if, are you gonna look this way? So I didn't look this way. So when we go to get in line, I went, I finally did turn around and look at him, and he was with another woman. And I'm like, this joker been following me around the store all this time, and he's with a woman. But he was like trying to holler at me because she was somewhere in the store. But he was like literally, so I'm so glad because I was trying to get beat up. Sister girl, like she hurt you.
Don't you hate situations like that? Don't you hate? I mean, I hate situations like that.
Yeah.
When a man does that, it's just so
disrespectful.
Disrespectful, yes.
Because why would I want you? You got a woman, all booed up. So you're gonna do that to me too. So no, but yeah, I'm so glad I was in there saying, Ale, get my praise on. It's like I don't see you. I'm not gonna even look at you. I'm trying to get some leave-in conditioner. Leave me alone.
But you know what I think when I hear stories like that, it does frustrate me because I think I hear it more and more every day. But these men aren't doing it because they're getting rejected every time. Like someone is going for it. And it just kind of like disappoints me because you guys try to do this because you're getting away with it over and over again. But that's my little 2 cents.
That's good.
And I want to just interject as the older person on this call. I'm not being pursued, but there was times when I was being pursued. As I lived in New York too, and there were years and years ago when they would follow you around. But I've always had the feeling of like since our topic is single and set apart, is validating that person in some way and not rejecting them right off the bat. I don't care who they are or what they look like, but validating them by thank you for, whatever you said. They usually a pickup line. It's like, I like your this, or you look fine, or blah, 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 whatever it is. Thank you, validate them. And then wherever the conversation goes, I believe the question is kind of two-part: being approached and pursued. Being approached is when you begin to set the boundary. Your approach, you set the boundaries. You say, thank you for, whatever you said, you compliment. And then if the conversation even begins to pursue into something that they would want to pick you up, then you begin to let them know, as Sophia said, who you are. And I usually have a line where if somebody tries to take me on a date or invite me out on a date, I would say, well, let's meet at Calvary Revival Church on Sunday morning at 9:30, and we'll see where it goes from there. And usually that is usually a good line, because they are, oh, you go to Calvary and blah, 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 and they will start, and then we start talking about church, and then we are able to end it because that's not what they were about. So that person is not going to pursue me because I've already made my statement of who I am and what I'm into. So that ends the approach. That was the approach and not the pursuit. So usually I get the approach, but not the pursuit, because I ended at the approach, and I always end it in a dignified way. So
that's good, Miss Hope.
Wisdom. Thank you, Miss Hope. Man. And
what happens if he's a man of God and he's like, yeah, I want to go to church too. This is perfect.
I always tell them to meet me. I never met them. I always tell them meet.
See if you show up, huh?
I never showed up.
Yeah. I made the mistake of befriending someone that was pursuing me. Bad decision.
Now, why would you do that?
Wait, why?
Well, because I told him afterwards, I said, this isn't working, blah, blah. I just want to be your friend. I said, it never ends that way. I promise. I'm like, no. He wore me down. I said, okay, we could be friends. I ended up blocking him because it was just too much. Because anytime he would call and try to check on me, or we talk about it, it always goes, oh, you're so beautiful. I said, well, you should tell your friend that you're beautiful. So it was a bad thing. But I would never do that again. But usually when I'm being pursued, most of the times they're younger. So thank God they're younger. And I immediately say, what, who said that? Sonia. I actually got pursued by a 27-year-old in Lowe's. Followed me around the I said, how old are you? When he told me 27, I said, oh my God. I told him my age. He says, oh, well, he says, I've been around the block before, around something. He said, the oldest, it was 52. I'm saying, honey, I'm way past that. And he looked at me like shocked.
You look good.
And I said, well, thank you for the compliment and be about your day. But typically I'm able to, because I'm older, they're always so much younger, and that's how I get out of it. But the one that I tried to befriend, that was horrible.
You had to hurt his feelings. You had to block him.
I had to block him because he would send me songs, and I'm like, how is that being a friend? So, and I would have a conversation over and over, but
that's it. Yeah, I love what and you just did what Miss Hope had said. You validated, like, thank you. I love that she said that, because like, thank you. I appreciate that. But see, I'm gonna have to stop smiling because like, but I'm not interested. Now, one time I did. I don't know if this was nice or not. Y'all tell me. But a guy offered me his number, and I said. He was like kind of persistent with it. I want you to take my number. No, thank you. I'll pass. No, just take my number. And so I told him, I said, if I take your number, I'm not going to use it. And he was like, oh, so you're not interested? And I was like, he get it. He finally got it. But I smiled when I said it. So he stopped trying to push his phone number on me, but he was like persistent. So I told him, I said, if I take it, I'm not going to use it, meaning I'm not going to call you. So then he did back down. So was that rude?
No.
No.
All right.
But honestly, taking a number is the easiest way to get out of it quickly. Like, okay, yeah, I'll take your number, and then just, he'll forget.
That's not enough. That's not enough now no more. So that was
they want you to dial it.
Yeah, they want to
Call
they
them
want
right
they want
away.
they want to put their
Yeah,
phone
call
number in.
me.
They do, yeah, it's a new thing now. Well, let me put
Wait
your number
here.
in my phone and then call me. That's me calling you.
Uh-huh.
Save it in your phone. I'm like, you got my number, man. So it don't work.
But you know what?
No, that don't work anymore.
No.
No,
Mm-mm.
that's all you do.
Yeah.
Strong
So
black man.
as we're talking, I think it's interesting that as we're talking, I'm hearing so many different things. It's been such a minute since I've even been in a relationship. So I'm hearing this and I'm like, wow, that's kind of interesting. Nobody follows me around the store, but that's okay. But I think that we have a position that we can take just hearing this as women of God. We know our values. We know that we belong to God, and we know our standards. And so when we are approached or pursued going forward, we can say, just like as Miss Hope made the comment, and somebody else I think mentioned it, we can say things like, you know what, I'm not interested, but you know what, and we start talking about Jesus and God. You know what I mean? And not that we're trying to get religious, but it's okay to do that. I think it's important for us to be kind to these men because a lot of them are being rejected. There's so many more of us than them, and so they're being rejected. And so I think that our approach, our responses should kind of line up with where we are spiritually. You know what I mean? It's just, we can be kind, we can reject, but be kind, but also point them to the light in a nice way. As they're trying to walk us around the stores and all kinds of things, we can say something kind to them and let them know that's just not what we do, as queens, right? Miss Sue, as queens.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. Our language should be a little bit different. I don't want to play games with people. I don't have time for any of that stuff, but I want to let you know, no, because this is where I am. I have boundaries.
I have a question.
That's good. Yes.
I have a question.
Okay.
I'm just curious. I'm sorry, Sue. I know you got your question. I'm just curious. So these men that we reject or we're not interested in, what is it about that man that where you feel like you're not interested in them? Is it because they're too short, too fat, not attractive?
That's a good question.
I think all of us have a type that you're interested in.
Right.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Why would you entertain somebody that's not your type?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm tall, I'm 5'7". I'm not gonna entertain a 5'2" guy, and it's nothing against that guy. He might look good, he might smell good, and this, that, and the third, but I just don't want anyone shorter than me.
Yeah.
So it's not to say anything negative. I think that every one of us have something different that we look for in a man. So I don't think that what I look for, you might not look for. You might be okay with someone maybe 5'4", 5'5", or something like that. But for me, I would need someone over 6 feet. So I think it's just not one thing. It just depends on the person.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to hear.
No chemistry. There's no chemistry.
Yeah, I was gonna.
There's no attraction.
Yeah, I was gonna say also, like, for me, it just be like it just is the energy, so to say. So I don't know. I personally don't like anyone I don't care how you look. If you come up to me and you're like, "Oh my gosh, you're so beautiful," it's like I could hear that a million times. Like, what attracts me, everyone I've dated in the past is like the first interaction has always been super organic. We've had super like fluent conversation where it just flowed naturally. If you try to do a pickup line on me or try to approach me with you're just trying to date me, like I'm never gonna go for it.
Right. And that's the reason why sometimes there is no pickup line. Sometimes you start a conversation with somebody and you get really into a deep, interesting conversation.
Yeah.
And you find out that this person is not a freak, that they are an interesting person. And usually that might not lead to a pursuit. That might just be an approach, but not a pursuit. But you find that there is interest there, that if that person were to say, I love their conversation. Do you work around here? Do you want us to meet for lunch tomorrow? You might say yes. But it usually sometimes when you meet that type of interesting person, usually it doesn't go anywhere. So the people who are following you around and trying to pick you up sometimes are not as genuine as the people who are out there who are really interesting, who you can meet. And so I remember when I lived in New York and used to go out for lunch or meet somebody on the train, we'd get into really good, interesting conversations that would, and then we say goodbye at the end of you get off at your stop or whatever it is. So there are interesting people. And so we don't go around rejecting everybody or saying no that because we're not interested. If we got 2 steps into the conversation, we might find that there's interest, that there is something in common, that there is something that might say, this person is really interesting. I wouldn't mind talking to them again. So where does it go from there? It's not necessarily have to be a rejection. It can be sometimes even you saying, I like your approach to that. We should talk about that again. So it depends on what kind of interest is sparked rather than them just following you around in that creepy way, because that I do not tolerate.
Now, for me,
I will say, can I just say something to Sabrina's point about the beautiful thing? Sabrina, you are beautiful. And we have to remember, even though these men are approaching us in that way, and it may feel a little creepy, we are beautiful beings. We're beautiful. We smell good. We look good. And so I learned this when I was in marital counseling with my former husband. Our counselor was John Williford, phenomenal man of God, awesome. I remember him sharing that with me because I loved my former husband, but he would get on my nerves sometimes. And he had to say to me, he was like, because he would pursue me in a certain way, and you know how it is, ladies. We get pursued by our husbands, and we're tired, or we just took care of the kids, and it's just not that time. Right. And so his approach wasn't always the greatest. And so we have to work through that. But he would say to me, the therapist would say to me, you have to remember that men are visual and they're going to see us. And they may not have had the home training to be taught to approach you, Miss Queen Sabrina, a certain way. But if you're serious, look at the smile. If you're beautiful, you're beautiful. And just like Hope is saying, when we hear those things, it's okay to receive it. Even though in our mind we know it's gonna be a rejection, but we can receive it and not feel like, ugh, because we are beautiful. Because I'm walking in that. We all of us should be walking.
Yeah. Right? Yes. Thank you. That was good.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Wow, this is good, ladies.
Now, I think it's okay for them to say you're beautiful, but it's how they say it.
Yeah.
Because it can sound lustful.
Look at that.
So it's you have, and or the way they look at you. So I don't think anything is wrong with it, but it's the way you approach it. There, you can feel it in your spirit when something ain't right.
Yeah,
I'm
not gonna lie. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Trying to be kind of lustful, because you can have a man, he can be married, and he just say to you, do you know you're a beautiful young lady? And all you have to do is say thank you and keep going. Right. But he, just wanted you to know that. And it could be a day when you're feeling down and you needed to hear that. Not that he was trying to come on, right, but he could have been led by God to say that to you as well. So we can't, think every man that's saying something nice to us is trying to pick us up as well.
That's right.
Christine?
Yes, and like Sophia and Miss Angelique was saying, like, but even like it's nothing wrong with, with them saying, you're beautiful, but it's just the way, the approach, the way that they say it. Because like me personally, like I don't date men like the first time that I meet them that they're looking at me up and down. Like they're looking at me, up and down in a lustful way. I don't like men to, because sometimes you see, like someone said it, also you feel it. You feel it. You feel what is, what's the motive, or you understand, it. Like so I like me personally, And that's why I'm so big on friendship first, getting to know who the person is, because I know when I was younger, I was so quick to jump into, relationships out fully getting to know who the person is. Like even my first marriage, I got married really quick. I got married within 2 months. Yes, wow, that is very quick at 24 years old. So basically, as in my marriage, I'm still getting to know the person, and because of that, I went through, trials and tribulations. I went through some things, but one thing about God, he taught me to slow it down, to slow it down. And you will get to know who that person is as as time goes. And that's another thing that God showed me. You will, because people true colors can't hide so long. It's going to come out.
Yep.
And in my lessons, in my past relationships, God taught me, if you would have waited, you would have saw these things. But because, he was moving so fast, that's why, so I learned to step back and actually make my emotions step back, especially when I really like a guy, and I have to tell myself, do I really like him? Or even if we're dating for a while, or been, talking for a while, like, do I really, is it really like, or is it in fascination? If
Yeah.
fascination is really big, that's one thing that God taught me. Or sometimes, you're dating somebody, you think you're in love. Is it really love, or is it in fascination? Or are you fascinated with, or are you in love with the potential that you see, what you want? So yes, amen.
Amen. Amen. That's good, Christine.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
Can I quickly add something?
Yes, Wanda. And then we'll
I
have
believe you have to really vet them, because they're going to be in their best behavior for the first 3 months, most times, and then the mask go down, right? Come down, right? I like to vet them for a year, because I want to see them how they are in 4 seasons, because they may change. So I want to see how you act in the summertime, the fall, around the Christmas, the holidays, whatever, because that's when you really see the changes, or they're really authentic. So yeah, so you really have to vet them and make sure they align with you and get to know their family. It goes deeper than that. But yeah, vetting is important. You have to really vet them.
Yes.
And it takes more than 3 months.
Yeah.
For me, that's my opinion.
Right. No, that's good. That's true. I agree. Yeah, because the more comfortable they get with you, the more they're going to show their real self. True.
No,
Yeah.
I give them the 4 seasons. That's it.
The 3
Well,
months is the honeymoon phase. I'm gonna show you my best. I'm gonna show you my
Right,
best.
right,
Don't see everything because I'm trying to impress you. Once I got you, like, whoa, whoa, I didn't know where that
now,
came from.
right.
Miss Renee, go ahead, sweetie.
Hi, ladies.
Hey.
I'm just gonna piggyback off of everyone and what they were saying. For me, with the guy, if he approaches me, it's the intellect for me. Because I'm a communicator. And if you're just coming up to me just to say you're beautiful and blah, 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 and you're my age, that means you're not whole yet. You haven't grown into the grown man status yet. You're just almost like you're going fishing just to throw a rod out there and see what you can catch, right? Because how a man leads, that determines for me who he is. Because we do have some men who lead on their money. They lead on their cars. They lead on what's between their legs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's based to me on their intellect. And that's going to determine whether or not we can have a 5-minute conversation, a bruh, I'm good conversation. Based on their intellect. How are they leading?
I love it. I love it. Stimulate my brain. Stimulate my brain. Thank you, Renee. That's good. Sophia?
now the seasons I like to see them in is when someone say cut them off on the road, to see if they start hollering at the car and raising their voice. I want to see them in that season. When it comes to their finances, so them the seasons I look for, like how you treat your children, or what your siblings, your mother, your grandchildren. All that is a season, when, say, if they're working, because I'm retired, if they're working and they have an issue at work and they blow up, that mean they're gonna blow up at me. So that's the seasons I look for,
And
because
Sophia,
that's important.
you're not going to see that until you're in a relationship. So this is
But
beyond the approach and pursue. This is
well,
relationship status.
yeah.
Yeah.
But even getting to know, well, yeah, I went
Yeah,
beyond. But if
that's
you're
good.
getting to know that person, you'll see it really in 21 days. If you really be sensitive to your spirit and not spend a lot of time with them on the phone, and because a lot of times we miss things when we're talking every day because we're getting that attention. But when you're not giving them a lot of time, you'll see it because you have time to be sensitive to your spirit, and you're not so in tune like attached to, getting that attachment, because you're not giving them a lot of attention, and you're not receiving a lot of attention. It's when you miss things when you're on that phone too much or spending too much time at the beginning.
That's good. That's good. It's Cheryl.
I think that it's good that Sophia mentioned those things, but I think that men can be good fathers, but not good husband. Because because I was in a relationship where I'm not saying that he was not kind to me, but okay, I don't want to go that far, but anyway, he was an excellent father, but he didn't know how to be and I'm too old to call somebody my boyfriend, but he didn't know how to be I guess a mate, because I know Sue know who I'm talking about, but anyway, I mean, well, to me, he was just cheap. That's just it. I don't like a cheap man, And I think that what happened to him is that he was so used to dating women of that caliber, and then he came across some quality. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I would tell him over and over again, and don't get, it's not about anything materialistic, don't get me wrong, but you show a woman how much you value her, but not by not taking her to Texas Roadhouse all the time. I don't want to go there all the time. Saying, and I'm just gonna be real. What you invested in that person, but I know this now that I look at things hindsight, is that he was not used to women that had that valued themselves and had an expectation of themselves and a relationship. And I kept telling him, but and when I broke it off with him, then the light bulb came on that, I messed up. I realized it's too late now, because who's to say that you're not going to go back to that same old ways, so they're your ex for a reason.
That part, Keeper, that's it. For real. No, I get it, Sonia. Sonia said, Cheryl be looking so intense when she talk about that person. It's like, cheap. It's like, okay. But like you said, he wasn't used to a queen. He wasn't used to a woman.
Yeah.
He was used to girls. And that's why it's so important, ladies, that we know who we are and whose we are.
We are, yes.
When you know who your Heavenly Father is, you won't allow people to treat you any kind of way.
Yeah.
Really important.
And he's still pursuing me too. I mean, this has been January of last year, and I'm one of a kind. I am one of a kind. Right. I'm gonna give you, and I don't mean sexual. I'm gonna give you my all. However, when I see that you're not giving not even 70%, you know, and now I'm not going to even sell it for 70%. But when I see that you're not reciprocating, and I tell you over and over, you think I'm playing. You're not, and if I tell you you think you're not taking me seriously, then after a while, you gotta go. Bottom line, you gotta go. And this person literally, that was January of last year, and he is still pursuing me. Because you're not gonna find another Cheryl.
He's trying to break you.
Oh, he ain't gonna break me.
You have to block and delete.
I'm not gonna block him. I'm not gonna block him. You know, let him wallow in that for a minute. And don't put that on that Sue on YouTube.
Oh, too late.
You're already on, Miss Cheryl. You just keep sharing it, airing it all out. You know what's going on YouTube.
Just don't share the link with him.
Don't put that on YouTube seriously, because I probably said too much. But I want to be. I mean, because people need to hear realness, but at the same time, you know, not bad. I'm too real.
We all fall short. You know, there are areas that we got on point, and then there are some areas, you know, that we still need to work on, and that's why we're here. We're here, you know, to encourage one another, and then those that will be listening or are listening will also be encouraged as well, because we're human. When all is said and done, we're that first, you know, but we're not human. We're not human beings. We are spiritual beings, but we have still human ways, and so that's where God can help us, and by us encouraging each other, you know, and having someone like Hope, who is full of wisdom, you know, that whose feet we can sit at and learn from, you know, from her life experiences, and be able to just soak in that. And then those who are young, like Christine, who are still new, but yet also accumulating that wisdom. We're all here to grow in the Lord. And so that's why, you know, when I was asking earlier, was I rude? You know, it's because I don't know, you know, so, but I want to know. So if it's bad, I don't want to do it again. But if it's good, it's like, okay, so, you know, and that's why we're here. You know, we're saved and we're set apart, but we still fall short. And so, but we want to, you know, be here to encourage one another and direct each other. So that's good, Cheryl. Just be who you are, girl. Just be who God created you to be. But, you know, as I was saying earlier, we don't have to settle. Remember who you are, your standards. And I will tell you this real quick story. We may get to the second question. We may not. We'll see. But there was a gentleman that did pursue me during the holiday season last year. And the thing he came up with, and I've heard this often, men will come up and they'll say, you know what, you're going to be my wife. Now, this guy that approached me, I have been eyeing him for like over a year. We would see each other each week and we would say hello, but that was it. We would like say hello and walk away looking. But in our minds, when we had our conversation, we both thought that we were in other relationships, so we didn't take it any further. So the approach finally came, and that's when he's like, I've been watching you for a year. The Lord told me you're gonna be my wife. Okay, now when you don't even know my last name. So my response was, well, the Lord talks to me too, and that's not what he told me. So he was like, oh, well, you know, well, I'm the head, and so, you know, he talks to me first. Okay, so I entertained his foolishness, you know, his conversation. But what happened was, and someone was saying that earlier, we literally talked for about 30 days, and I know Sophia was saying it, you know, that the phone was not so good, but I'll say in this situation for me, it was, because we were in a situation where we couldn't see each other physically. So we were on the phone, and the conversations, we would have deep conversations, and stuff was coming out like, you know, he was like saying stuff. So I had said something one day, he's in the word, he was a man of God, but he was like, he would say things that the Bible said. And if I never heard it or read it, you know, with pause, like, really? And he's like, what do you mean, really? And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, really, it's in the Bible. I said, well, I'm gonna have to, you know, research it, because, you know, basically it piqued my interest. And just because you said it doesn't make it so. My first pastor I ever had, always taught us to go to the word and find out for ourselves. Don't always just sit. And he used to say, even though I'm preaching to you, don't believe what I say. Get in that word and study for yourself, because someone in the pulpit could be lying if you don't go to that word. It's the Jim Jones story. You guys all know that. People threw away the Bible and just listened to him and all committed suicide. So, that was embedded in me. So I wasn't doubting him, but he was offended. He said, see, I need my woman. He said, no, he said, see, that's what, I almost said a word. That's what upsets me. He said something different. That's what upsets me about women. They just won't take me at my word. They got to question it. They got to research. They got to, look it up, as if I'm lying. Why would I lie? I need you to just believe what I said and accept it for what it is. And I said, so you want an idiot? I said, I'm not an idiot. And I think for myself. I said, I appreciate you sharing, but you know what? It's a compliment to you because you've piqued my interest enough for me to get in my word. So I'm not sure why you offended by it. But needless to say, from there, it was a whole debacle of things that came up. So, it ended abruptly, which was fine. But, no loss there. But we did encounter each other one time, and we had a conversation. Look, when I see you, you're not going to be pushing up on me. You're not going to be touching me. You're not going to be trying to kiss me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How many of y'all know he did the opposite?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
He did the opposite. And I was so hurt. He was like just aggressive. And I was like, you know what? You lied. I don't appreciate it. We can't see each other anymore. You disrespected me. We had this conversation. So, but even with that being said, to God be the glory. I'm thankful that God let me see his heart. Because I tell y'all, the only reason I gave him a chance is the boy was fooling. Oh, he was fine. He was pleasant to the eyes, y'all. He was pleasant. He was pleasant.
That's what I'm talking about.
He was fine. So yeah. So but I digress. So but I just wanted to share that with you to say, we gotta continue to keep our standards and our values and keep, ask God to protect your heart, but open your ears, open your eyes. Because God is going to show some things to you. He's going to show you that true heart. That discernment will kick up like a radar. And it was like, oh, thank you, Lord, for showing me his heart. Ooh, wow. God saved me from, because, he saved me from that. Thank you, Lord, because that and two marriages before, I didn't listen to God. But trust and believe, whenever he speak, I'm like, okay, all right. So I've learned to listen to God. Instead of stepping in front of him, I learned to follow him.
Yes.
So, and, when you ask him to speak, he will speak. When you ask him to reveal, he will reveal. Now, what you choose to do after that, that's on you. Expect to suffer the consequences. So, I have Miss Sophia, and then I have Ramilda. So, go ahead.
Now, so I had a situation with a guy that I went to school with. This was like 4 years ago. Now, he has family in Rock Hill. And he would come down a couple times a year, and he had my number, but I stopped receiving his calls because now he was a Christian, he loved God, but he would say, "Oh, you're my wife," and I'm like, "No, God did not tell me that." And the last time we had a conversation, he was visiting his family in Rock Hill, and he had his sister call me because he knew I wasn't taking his calls anymore. And he got on the phone. He said, you my wife. And I said, can you do me a favor? Can you release me to God? I said, because you're believing God to be married. And the reason why he can't send you your wife is because you're holding on to somebody that is not your wife.
Wow.
And because every time he would say it, I wouldn't say it to him, but I would say, I don't receive that because he's not going to stop my blessings.
Yeah.
But I let him know, you want to be married again, but until you release me to God, God can't present you to your wife. So we had not had a conversation since. So I said, do you release me to God? To God. He said, yeah. So
release me to God. Release me back to God.
Yes, because he was like, you're my wife. God said, no, God did not tell me.
Yeah,
I don't care what he told you. He did not speak to me.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. All right now. Okay, Ms. Reed.
Ladies, this is so good. I'm sitting here laughing at some of y'all and just sitting here, yep, know what that's about. And so it's just been really good for me. Thank you for this. I was just sitting here prior to maybe 5 years ago. I was married for 27 years. Got married young, knew I was not supposed to be married to that person. But too insecure to really want to be by myself. I thought my worth came being attached to someone and having another title other than daughter of the king. So, of course, needless to say, when you idolize somebody, God shows you exactly who he is. And I got a really, really good lesson. And part of my healing was to initially when guys would approach me after that, I was like, what you want? I'm thinking to myself, and it was always very negative where I give you a look like, don't come over here, I ain't got time for that. But God he showed me how I had to heal. But because that happened in my past doesn't mean that's what my future is going to look like. So it came to a point where I can love people. And I can talk to men when they approach me. I'm not interested, but I can say it in a nice, kind way and not be so defensive, like, get away, get out my face. Which I used to tell them, but I ain't got time for you, get out my face. But now I can say it in a way, because that person is made in the image and likeness of God. We all are. So that was one thing I wanted to say. Just kind of once you heal, you can approach someone differently. And you have value for their life. The same value that God has on your life, he has on that gentleman's life. And the second thing I was going to say is I was with my husband, we were not good friends. We were not friends first. And I always said after this one, I said, Lord, I want to be my next, mate, I want to be best friends with. Of course, the enemy knows how to present people too. So you have to use discernment. And I was getting to know this gentleman. We were fun. I mean, do things, go outdoors. We go places together. It was nothing sexual, just having that companionship, getting to know each other. And I'm like, I slipped up and said, well, it's kind of like you're my best friend. And I paused because it was immediately conviction in my spirit. He's not your best friend. I am. So I had to pull back. And as I pulled back, this gentleman didn't understand. And I said, you don't understand. I said, what is happening is what's happened before. You are becoming an idol. And I will not have anybody more important than God in my life. So at this point, I have to cut this off. I said, I'm praying for you. I wish the best for you. I said, but I cannot continue on this way. And I mourned that because I wanted that really. I wanted somebody I could be buddies with, be a best friend, know them, know their heart for you. And I mourned for like maybe 2 or 3 months. And God, like he told Samuel, he said, how long are you going to mourn over Saul? He said, how long are you going to mourn?
Yes.
He said, so you go in there, wash your face, get up and go on. Because he wasn't it. And I have learned that. I have learned that the proof, his warning is a proof of love.
Yes.
His correction is a proof of love. It's not that I'm missing anything. I have perfect peace. I wake up every morning that he lets me wait. He allows me to wake up and see another day. I have everything I need because he's still on the throne and he's not going anywhere. So I've learned to get my joy and my peace from him. And I know when the time comes, when that gentleman that he is sending me comes. Remember what I said, he is sending me. When he sends me the person that I know is my person, then things will fall into place. But I'm not thirsty. I'm not lonely. If I want to go out to dinner, if I want to go to a movie, Reed is getting up and she's going. But it's about having love for yourself and healing from any past hurt. So you don't project that on somebody else. You don't want to hurt somebody else because you've been hurt. So that was part of my healing process, to learn how to let this gentleman approaching you. You haven't seen him before. He has done nothing to you. Why are you mad at him? Why are you giving him the stank face and looking at him all crazy? And all he said was hi. So God had to heal me. That's good. He had to heal me from that. So to look at the men like brothers in Christ, they need Jesus just like you do.
Yes. Yes.
And so many men get rejected and hurt by. We as women, well, I used to be this way. I could lash you real good with my mouth.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm glad that God cleaned that up. That was the first thing I said. God, fix my mouth.
Yes.
So men are afraid sometimes to approach us because they've already been traumatized by another female going off on them. So you just never know.
Yeah.
But I just think heal from any past hurt. So when someone does approach you, you don't take it out on them.
Yeah.
That's the lesson I learned. And that God loves us so much. He's not going to bring a counterfeit into your life. He's going to bring the best.
Yes.
A
Yeah.
man submitted to him.
Yes.
And then you can both can serve him.
Thank you, Remelda.
Thank you.
That was good. That was good. Yeah, I got something from that for sure.
And that's true. God wants us whole.
He does.
I mean, two halves coming together. That means I'm draining from him and he's draining from me. No, God wants us whole.
Amen.
Yes. Yes. In
So
him.
something that might have went over my head. I guess one thing that you said that kind of stood out to me was you said like you wanted someone that was like your best friend, and then you called someone your best friend, and then you stopped talking to him. I guess I'm trying to understand like I guess what's the issue in looking at someone like your best friend? That one kind of went over my head.
I'm glad you asked that, Sabrina, because I probably didn't go in depth as I should have. This person is a man of God. He's actually a minister. The reason why I had to cut it off is because of what was going on inside of me. I was getting to the place where I was before, where I was putting this person above God. It's like there's different things I would do, different things I would say. And I'm like, no, priorities. There's nobody higher than God. I'm not creating any more idols because I idolized my husband for years, my ex-husband for years. I did everything, try to be everything, try to, be the best of everything. And I lost me. And I could feel that happening again. And I'm like, oh no, we're not going there again. No, sir. Woo! So, and I did have a conversation with him and let him know it was nothing that he did, but it's about me. This is not the time for me to be in any kind of relationship. I still have more healing to do because I could feel that rising back up. So there was some unfinished work that God had to do in me at that point. So it really had nothing to do with him. He's a great guy. But it was me. I wasn't ready. I hadn't healed completely because I felt like I could tell the things that I was doing and saying, I was going back to that same person and she's dead. So I had to let God completely kill the rest of that. So that's why, Sabrina, I had cut it off, because sometimes you have to cut the cord and burn the bridge, because if you don't need to walk back over it. So that's how I had to deal with that one. So I hope that explains something.
And
that was good. That was good.
That's such a critical point, because we can do that with anyone. It doesn't have to be a man. And that's why God says, I'm a jealous God. We have to be so careful that we don't put anyone or anything above him. And that's what he showed Remelda, is that you were putting somebody before me and I'm jealous. So when she said she had to do some more healing, it doesn't mean that she won't meet somebody else who will become a best friend, but she will have a different approach.
Yeah.
Because she will now have the right perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
And I could definitely relate to that, because it's easy to like see someone as your best friend and just try to, just lose yourself in it all. So I completely understand that for sure.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Ladies, y'all have been amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you for being transparent and sharing. I'm sure this is encouraging others. I know it's encouraging me. So, being considerate of time, we're about to close off, but I want to have Miss Cheryl. We had a conversation. Cheryl and I are in our singleness just like you all are. And God revealed something to her, and I've now captured it. And Cheryl, it's basically going from wanting a husband to a purpose partner. Please share your testimony of how God revealed that to you.
Ooh, you put me on the spot. So I have I was married for 14 years. Been divorced since 2000, I think, and 6. He lost a good one too. But anyway,
I agree.
the Lord told me not to go back to Egypt. But to make a long story short, I was at my daughter and her husband's church, and I was leaving the parking lot, and the Lord said, "You have not because you ask not." And I said, "What you mean, Lord? What you mean?" I said, "I've been praying for my husband, He said, "You have not because you ask not, because you ask amiss." He said, "You're praying for your husband, but what about your purpose? What about your purpose partner?" He said, "When you don't know, you don't know the purpose of a thing, you would misuse it and abuse it and take it for granted because we see that person as a husband, not as purpose. Two purposes coming together.
Come on now.
I'm looking at him, go take out the trash and go do this and go there, do that. No, God said, what about purpose? And so I sat back and the Lord showed me, he said, so that's what I want you to see. So when you meet your husband, you would know that that's your purpose partner. And that's why I used to have a tag, #purpose destiny, because it's like two purpose partners coming together and going into the destiny that God has called us to. And the Lord too. And let me tell you something, and I want you all to hear me. And that's why I went through different phases of my life, but I had to learn my value. And it's like the Lord took me from the 1st to the 12th grade. He said, now you've graduated from the 12th grade. You've gone to college. You've graduated from college. He said, and now I have you where you're getting ready to graduate again. He said, but I had to make you whole. He said, because I didn't want you to be half when he came. I wanted you to be whole. He said, because if you're half, that means when you say, quote unquote, I'm meeting my husband, then you're going to drain from him. No, the two should become one. And not two halves becoming one, because it's like so that's something. I should enjoy my singleness. I should enjoy, we talk often about being alone, but we say that we're alone, but have you ever asked yourself, why do you feel alone? Because we're praying for our husband and we need to be asking God, who is the man of God that you've chosen me for purpose?
Purpose.
Because God can, let me tell you something, God can send you a husband. That's not the issue.
Nope, the purpose.
And from that day on, I'm telling you, when God showed me that, it's like I just stopped praying. Because I realized what he was saying to me. I've never felt so whole in my life. Do you understand what I'm saying? I was a broken person.
But God. Amen. Purpose partner, ladies. Purpose partner. Purpose partner. Don't come in with like, you gonna be my wife. No.
Can I share something?
Oh, yes. Well, thank you, Cheryl, for that. Go ahead, Wanda.
I could resonate with Cheryl because the book that I've written last year, for those who purchased that book, God had gave me that vision about a purpose partner. So yeah, so I get what she's saying. So after being divorced after 28 years, I wrote a book. God guided me through that book, and he said, you need a purpose partner.
Yes, that's it. Nothing less.
Can I say something as well?
And thank God for grace and mercy, because he could have answered some of our prayers and we would have been in a mess.
Yes. Go ahead.
I pray for that too. It's funny that you said that. Not funny, it's good. It's conviction, really. I've always prayed that the husband that you sent to me we do work together purposely for whatever your will is for us, God.
Yep.
So,
that's it. Yes. Amen. Well, ladies, it has been pleasurable. We didn't even get to move forward, but hey, God's purpose was accomplished this evening. True. And so I just give God glory. For you listeners, thank you for tuning in. I pray that you're encouraged and empowered to continue to walk in your single and be separated, set apart, for the glory of God and to be used by Him. And even though you are not with your purpose partner, you should be walking in your purpose. So when your purpose partner comes, you can walk hand in hand in the purpose that God has to reach the destiny He has created for you. So to God be the glory. With that being said, ladies, you can stay on. But all of the rest of you, thank you for tuning in and joining us with More Than Able Ministries, Saved and Set Apart, with women of God who don't mind letting it all hang out for the cause of Christ. So be encouraged and may God continue to bless you. May His peace be with you until we meet again. We'll be back. So keep an eye on our YouTube channel. But until we meet again, may His peace be with you. Love you all. Have a good evening.
Love you too.